Welcome to Vacuum Wars. In this video, I'll go over all the differences and similarities in iRobot's Roomba robot vacuum lineup for 2022. I've tested and reviewed just about every Roomba that's been released in the past few years, but even I have a hard time keeping up with all the new models and the new features added to older models, so I hope this video will help you to make sense of all of that. Links in the description to everything I'll mention, and let's get started. I have them lined up here from least to most expensive. You can buy the i3 Evo, S9, or J7 separately without the clean base, or you can buy the robot and the clean base together in one package, which is where the plus in the name comes from. But I'm just going to list the plus version here for simplicity. Also, there are some Roombas not in this list that were here last time, like the E5 or i7, which are no longer listed on iRobot's website, so it looks like they may be trying to streamline their lineup for 2022. Also, the Roomba i3 and i3 Plus are now called the i3 Evo and i3 Plus Evo. This is mainly because of some software changes with the iRobot Genius 4.0 update, which I'll talk about later, and they also dropped the price considerably, but other than that, it seems to be the same machine as the previous i3 as far as I can tell. I have the 600 series listed here as 692/694, but it can also include the 675, 671. Basically anything in the 600 range is going to be the same basic robot with regard to the things I'll talk about today. There are certain qualities and features that all Roombas have. For example, every single Roomba has a patented two-brush roll design that makes Roombas exceptionally good at carpet cleaning. If you look at other types of robot vacuums on the market, you'll find that they have one brush where Roombas have two. In my reviews, I do what's called a carpet deep clean test, where I see how good they are at picking up embedded sand from medium pile carpet. And what I found is that even the cheapest Roombas, like the 600 series, outperform high-end robot vacuums from other brands, at least with carpet cleaning. So the two-brush thing seems to be a huge advantage, and every Roomba has it and others don't. All Roombas also have basic features like drop sensors, which prevent them from falling downstairs. They will all automatically return to their charging dock. They all have a feature called Dirt Detect, which is a sensor that can tell if they're vacuuming a particularly dirty area, so it will give it more attention. All robots on this list are Wi-Fi enabled, meaning that you can control them even when you're away from your house with your smartphone, with which you can also schedule cleanings and get alerts if it's stuck or something like that. They are also all able to be controlled with voice commands using Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. They all pick up debris from the surfaces of hard floors and carpets very well. I've tested them with all kinds of debris sizes and various conditions with things like pet hair and human hair, and they all do this most basic job really well. I think Roombas have great build quality in common. They have a huge selection of parts and filters and brushes and motors and all kinds of things available for sale online, both from them and third parties. So those two things combined mean that you should be able to keep your Roomba running for a long time. Moving on to the differences, and let's start off with one of the most obvious physical things that make them different, which is that 3 of these Roombas can be used with iRobot's Clean Base, which is an automatic bin emptying system where when the robot returns to its base, a motor in the base kicks in and it empties the contents of the dustbin into a bag in the clean base. iRobot says these bags can hold up to 60 days worth of debris before needing to be replaced. I'm a big fan of auto empty bins and use them exclusively at my house these days. iRobot was one of the first to make this feature work really well, and their clean base design is still one of the best in my opinion. Another hardware difference is the suction power. iRobot measures suction in relationship to the standard suction of the 600 series. They say that the i3 Evo and J7 have 10 times more suction than the 600 series, where the S9 has 40 times more. In my experience with testing the suction and airflow of these robots, while you can notice a very slight difference in cleaning performance between these robots because of the suction difference, it's not as if the 692 or 694 isn't powerful enough to do the job. In fact, going back to the carpet deep clean test, the 600 series robots consistently outperform robots 2 or even 3 times their price and score way above average, as you can see. The main difference I've noticed about suction is with the S9, because it has so much more than the others at 40 times suction, and the S9 still holds the record for the best carpet cleaning performance I've seen on that test. And I should note that suction is a lot less important when talking about hard floors. So if you have mostly hard floors in your house, I wouldn't worry that much about suction at all. The S9 is also the only Roomba that has a different shape. Also, its main brushes are about 30% wider than any other Roomba, so it has a larger cleaning path and would clean in fewer passes. Another hardware difference is that on the 600 series, they have the older style brush rolls with the with bristles compared to the newer style main brushes, which are a little bit better at resisting hair tangles. One of the biggest differences though between the cheaper Roombas and the more expensive Roombas is the way that they navigate around your house. The 600 series navigates using reactive navigation, which uses various sensors like their bump sensor and IR sensors, as well as an algorithm to clean more or less randomly, where the i3 through the J7 all use various technologies to create maps of your house and navigate in nice, neat rows. One thing to point out is that these reactive navigation robots are actually pretty efficient. I've tested this random navigation over smart navigation several times and in different ways, and the random robots usually achieve the same near 100% coverage and about the same time as the expensive ones. The other three, the i3, S9, and J7, all create and use maps of your house. The main benefit of this, besides ensuring better coverage in every room for every cleaning, is that the robot knows where it has and hasn't cleaned in your house. So it will systematically clean the house, and it won't stop until it's cleaned every area of every room. Even if its battery runs out before it's finished, it will return to its base to recharge and then resume cleaning right where it left off, basically making battery life irrelevant for these higher end robots. The 600 series do not create a map, so they have a fixed 90 minutes or so to clean as much of the house as they can. If you have a smaller area or an apartment, it's usually more than enough time to do that, but if you have a larger space or a lot of rooms, or just want to ensure perfect coverage every time, then you would probably want the i3, S9, or J7. The more expensive ones like the S9 and J7 use cameras to create an interactive map of your house, which unlocks a ton of advanced app features. The i3 also creates a map, but its map is less detailed and therefore has more limited app features, which I'll talk about later. One huge difference is that the J7 is the first Roomba to have camera-based obstacle avoidance systems, which iRobot calls precision vision navigation. Up until recently, robot vacuums couldn't detect and avoid obstacles that were too low for its IR sensors or too light for its bump sensors to recognize, things like cords and socks and the dreaded pet waste. The solution was to put some kind of sensor on the front of the robot. In the J7's case, it's a camera, which iRobot has programmed to detect all kinds of objects, and it can learn to avoid even more, either through updates or through its own learning methods. I tested it in a variety of ways and was really impressed with things like cords, small toys, and novelty pet waste. And on that point, iRobot seems to have spent a lot of time building models of pet waste for the robot to learn its various shapes and sizes, so much so that they have a new program that more or less guarantees that it will avoid pet waste. Let's move on to talking about some of these newly designed iRobot app features. One of my absolute favorites is a new feature called Keep Out Zones. This is where after the robot maps out your house, you can draw virtual boxes on the map, which will keep the robot from going places that you don't want it to go. Most houses have places where there are a lot of cords or clutter, and these Keep Out Zones are an amazing feature that make a huge difference in user experience, in my opinion, and I use them a lot myself, but it's one of those app features that are only available for the robots with cameras, like the S9 and J7, but not with the i3 Evo. The Genius app allows you to designate the robot to clean certain rooms only, like you could tell the robot to go clean the kitchen, but you could also designate certain areas within a room, so you could tell the robot to go clean around the kitchen table or go clean around the front door. This can all integrate with the scheduling features too, so you could, for example, set a schedule to clean certain areas one day and other areas another day. As its name suggests, it learns a lot on its own and automatically recommends things in the apps. One big change is an integration into smart homes. For example, you can set it to communicate with your smart door locks or thermostats to begin a job when you leave the house. Some of the new changes with the Genius 4.0 app is that the i3 Evo now has home mapping where it didn't before, so you can name rooms and have it clean certain rooms while avoiding others, though it does not have the ability to clean certain areas within a room while avoiding others like the S9 and J7, and it does not have the keep out zones as I mentioned before. Another thing is that the i3 Evo as well as the J7 and S9 can integrate with the iRobot Braava Jet M6, which is something called Imprint Link, where when the robot finishes its job, it will send a signal to the Braava Jet mop and it will automatically begin its mopping job. But this can't be done with the 600 series. And that about does it for this comparison. Check all the links in the description for current prices, and thanks for watching.